That has to be one of the coolest things ever. Just instantly be transported into a video game. Just imagine that, just like in Jumanji, you just falling from the sky into a video game. How cool is that?
Woo! Oh my god, I can't believe this is happening! You see, Mom, I told you video games would do something good for
Not cool. Or, you know what? Scratch that. How about being transported into an overcooked game? You would never go hungry. Like, ever. Damn it. Just roll the intro. Hey guys, this is Josh Perez, and welcome to Juice Talkies. Today I'm reviewing Jumanji, The Last Level. Or next. Is it the last or the next? The Next Level. So Jumanji, The Next Level is the sequel to Welcome to the Jungle, which we had a couple years ago, and is technically the third film in the franchise. And we have most of the returning cast from the last film. Jack Black is back, The Rock, Kevin Hart, as well as a few new additions. Danny DeVito, Danny Glover, and a couple other surprise actors. So Spencer is now living in New York. He's going to college, and he's still keeping in touch with his friends, still trying to maintain this long distance relationship with Martha. You know how young love goes. And he eventually reunites with his friends from the last film, including Martha, and everything ends up becoming a rescue mission where everybody is once again returning to the game of Jumanji. So starting with what I loved about this movie, it's pretty damn funny. Maybe even funnier than the last movie. And a large part of that is due to the inclusion of Danny Glover and Danny DeVito's characters, and all the characters kind of switching places. And that's another thing I really enjoyed, is that you've got the same actors or avatar characters from the last movie in this one, The Rock, Jack Black, and I forget her name, Gamora's sister from the Avengers, redhead chick, Karen Gillan. So it kind of forced the Avatar actors to act a different way. And that's what I really liked about the whole idea, is that because in the last movie you had, these small group of kids assuming adult avatars, and their performances came off across a certain way. You know, they had to act like teenagers, they had to act like younger adults. But in this movie, you've got Danny Glover and Danny DeVito, which are much older, assuming those same avatar roles. And so they can't quite act the same way they did in the first movie. I thought that was really cool how they did that. And when you see Kevin Hart impersonating Danny Glover in this movie, you are going to die. It was the most funniest thing in this entire movie, I think. As well as The Rock, they all did great, like assuming just different personalities. The Rock especially too, with doing his New York accent. But aside from the new characters and the new few additions, this movie pretty much follows the same template and format as the first movie in terms of story structure. I don't think you needed to do anything too much more crazy, although I think after this film, if they do continue the franchise, I want to see something drastic, something very, very different than what we've seen in these last two. Another thing I liked in this movie over the last one is that there's a little bit more variety in the video game world, you know, because in a real video game, every level is gonna be just a different place, a different climate. You've got your volcano levels, you got your jungle levels, you've got your sand, desert levels, and you've got your ice, snowy, wintry backdrop levels. And in this sequel, they give a little bit of variety in the game world compared to the last one, which was just stuck the entire film in a jungle. But in this one, you've got snowy mountains, you've got a desert, you've got the jungle too. So I like how they change the locations here and there to just kind of keep things fresh as far as like where all the characters were in the game. One thing I will say though about the villain in this movie, I feel like they had a really good opportunity, because the villain in this one is played by the same actor as the Hound from Game of Thrones. And I don't think I knew that before. I don't think I remember seeing him in the trailers before, but I found that to be a tremendous opportunity to do something a little bit more than what they did in this movie. But they kind of treat it the same way they did in the last movie, where it's just kind of like villains you just don't really care about. Villains are just not really that interesting. They're just kind of there for the sake of being there. And that's just one complaint that I had in this movie with the villain, is that they spent a lot more time focusing on the heroes and the main characters, and I feel like we got little screen time from the villain. I mean, there's a couple scenes where we had him in there, but there was just no weight to him at all. So I would have liked to see the focus shifted on the villain so that we get a little bit more character, a little bit more depth from him, and so that we kind of just care about the stakes. And so having Danny Glover and Danny DeVito's characters in this movie just made it so much more funnier, because if you think about it, I'm sure when you were a kid and you were playing video games, your grandparents would come in the room just looking at you like, what the heck is going on? What is that? They didn't know how to play video games. Like, probably in that time, video games wasn't even a thing yet. So, just imagine if they were to pick up the controller right now, trying to play a video game, trying to figure things out, and then not knowing what to do, let alone inside of a virtual video game world, and they don't know what the hell is going on. Just kind of one of those things you can kind of relate to back from like childhood, and then, just trying to teach your grandparents how to play video games. And it's hysterical in this movie. It really is, I promise. I love the scene too, where you've probably seen this in the movie trailer, where they're trying to cross the swinging bridges over these cliffs, and there's like 1,000 baboons chasing them down. Like, that whole entire scene was intense. And so definitely one of the most suspenseful and entertaining scenes in this whole entire movie. I think the movie did a really good job as far as like being a really fun, adventurous follow-up to Welcome to the Jungle. Also has a lot of heart. I thought it was funnier. Doesn't do too much different than the last one. Doesn't stray too far from the same formula as the last movie, but it's still enjoyable. It's still entertaining. And if you like the last movie, I mean, you're definitely gonna like this movie, no question about it. And yeah, so I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons. And for that, I'm gonna give it groovy juice. It's gonna be interesting to see where this franchise goes from here, because I'm more curious about the origins of Jumanji, like who made this game? Who made the board game from the original Robin Williams movie? Who made this new one? Like, who made it and why? But I like how they were approaching these new films with the times that we're currently living in. Back when we had the original Jumanji with the board game. I like how they're just kind of matching things up with like real technology. Like, now we've got these new Jumanji movies reflecting actual video games. So I like that whole new take on it. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed the video, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell too, so that way you'll know when I post new videos. And I have a question for you. If you had no choice and you were trapped inside of a video game, what would that video game be? If I had to be trapped in a video game, it would probably be Breath of the Wild. Because I would just cook all day. That's what I'd do. Just climb up some trees, grab some apples and raspberries and vegetables, and I just cook all day. Ride horses and talk to Gorons. That would be my game. So yeah, let me know your video game down below. And if you've seen the movie, let me know what you thought about it. Also, hope you guys have a happy holiday. And I will see you guys in the next video. Keep it groovy.